On today's show, Norman Powell out against the Orlando Magic on Wednesday night. How bad is the injury? And we're going to be looking at James Harden scoring. Is he on the rise efficiency-wise the last couple of games? Going to be talking about it all on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, sir. You were locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day. Your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. And Locked On Clippers, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and let me know how you think we can fare without Norman Powell. We'll be talking about his situation, missing the game against Orlando on Wednesday night, and what that could mean for the team. Going to be talking a little bit about James Harden's scoring efficiency the last couple of games. Is it on the up? And then evaluating and looking at the first 15 games, big picture. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best daily fantasy sports entry app around. Just download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. And Locked On Clippers now has a daily newsletter, a one-stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox, written by your boy. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. It would really be helpful. That's LockedOnDaily.com. And start your day with the all-new free Locked On Clippers newsletter. All right. Let's get into it. Speaking of into it, I will not be at the game on Wednesday night. I have a championship game to coach, so I will not be there, but good luck to the boys. They will have to do it without Norman Powell. And that sucks. Norman Powell is going to be out with a hamstring strain. Now remember, he did step out of the game for a bit against the Warriors on Monday night with that. Ended up coming back into the game and making the big shots that ended up getting us the win. But he's not going to play in this game against the Orlando Magic. And as far as the Orlando Magic, Paolo Banchero is out for them. So even though they are on a winning streak right now, 6 games in a row, oh my God, they don't have Paolo Banchero. Now, considering we don't have, they also didn't have Wendell Carter in the Suns game. Let me check if Wendell Carter is going to play. But regardless, it's going to be a tough game for us. Norman Powell, there's no news on. Okay, so Carter, it seems like he's just day-to-day. Questionable, yeah, all that. So, but he won't play. Okay, so no Carter Jr. and no Paolo. So they start Tristan Da Silva and Goga Bitadze with Jalen Suggs, KCP, and Franz Wagner. Should be a tough game. I think with Norman Powell, I would have said we should win it, but no Norman Powell. And the Magic are a good defensive team. The likes of Jalen Suggs and KCP especially, and Jonathan Isaac. We struggle offensively. We definitely struggle offensively, and we're going to struggle a little bit more now that Norman Powell's out. Now, have we heard anything about his status going forward? No. It just says hamstring strain. But hamstrings can be tricky. Now, as Clipper fans, we should know with Chris Paul what we have to deal with that. So you don't want to rush him back. But how long can we afford to have Norman Powell out? Because we are already limited offensively as is. And while Norman Powell is not some crazy shot creator, he's a crazy shot maker. And he's off to the best start of his entire career. In these first 15 games, Norman Powell is averaging 23 points a game on 49, 49, 82 splits. And he's shooting 8 threes a game with that 49%. The guy's one of our best off-ball players. That curl to his right has been spectacular. I just don't know how we can manage, considering James Harden's scoring games this season and his inefficiency and the lack of shot creation we have elsewhere, and the inefficiency also of Kevin Porter Jr., even though he's stepped up recently. When we talk about the first 15 games, and we're going to talk about it as a whole later in the episode, Kevin Porter Jr., I mean, he's not shooting well for the season. He's shooting, and he's going to have a bigger role if Norman Powell's injured. That would be, he's shooting 41% and 23.5% from three, but at least he's up to 41%. As far as what we can do with Norm out, well, the most obvious thing is next man up. James Harden has to be even better. He's going to probably have to be efficient. Then, Ivica Zubac, really going to have to play through him in the post. Can Goga Bitadze guard Zoo? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I'd love to see it. I think we should really go to it tonight. Then you have, James Harden is going to have Jalen Suggs and KCP around him, so I expect it to be very tough for him. Hopefully he can, what's the move there? Like, the other defender is Franz Wagner, because you want to put Goga Bitadze in the pick and roll, but Tristan Da Silva, I guess, try to get the rookie on the switch and then put him in the pick and roll or go ISO. I guess that's the move. But for all I know, and I haven't watched the last couple of Magic games because, look, I'm watching the Clipper games. I'm doing coaching 7 days a week. I've had no time to even watch Laker games, and I usually watch Laker games just because they're local. But Magic, I haven't seen them since the first couple of games of the season when they had Paolo, and for all I know, Tristan Da Silva could be playing great defense. So it's going to be a tough night for James, in my opinion, in terms of, how easy he's going to have it. But, I hope I'm wrong on that. I just predict it would be tough. It's going to be tough. Who starts instead? Now, Kris Dunn has already replaced Terrence Mann in that starting lineup, and Terrence is playing better off the bench. So I would not start him. I think Ty is going to go with Amir, because Amir's been really solid this season. And that game against the Warriors, the way he closed that one, I feel like that was maybe a little bit of foreshadowing for him taking the spot until Norm comes back. But Amir's averaging 9.5 points a game this season. That's our 5th leading scorer. He is shooting really well from the field, 48%, and then 45 from 3 and 84 from the line. So if you got a guy shooting 45%, albeit on 3 attempts, but that's the same amount of 3-point attempts as Derrick Jones Jr., and he's a starter. So, I think that's the logical choice. And then who slides in off the bench? Well, this is the opportunity right here for Jordan Miller. Sorry, Bones Highland. I know it's a guard, but no, I think this is it for Jordan Miller. Because Norman Powell's an off-ball guy, and Jordan Miller has the size. And Jeff Van Gundy's going to like that switchable size. So that's the answer. Jordan Miller time as well. Can we do it? It's going to be tough. Can we afford to have Norm out for a significant amount of time? I don't think so, truly. I think I'm just going to talk about this game in the context of this game, because if he's out for more games, it's going to get dicey, ladies and gentlemen. That's why without Kawhi, we have such little room for error. But coming up, I'm going to be talking about James Harden. His scoring is going to have to go up if Norman Powell's out. And let's just look at how he's been so far this season scoring the ball and how he's kind of on the uptick lately. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. As far as NFL odds for the weekend, we got a little Thursday night football. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Steelers -3.5 for that one. And then you got the Eagles and the Rams at SoFi this Sunday. Eagles -2.5 for that. So, yeah, going to be big time. Chargers, Ravens as well. So where do you go to bet on those? None other than FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so Clippers 8-7 through 15 games. Norman Powell's averaging 23 points a game. He leads us in scoring, but he is going to be out against the Orlando Magic on Wednesday nights. We're going to need everyone else to step up. That includes Terrence Mann. That includes Amir Coffey. And we're going to need them to create a little bit more. The obvious thing is shoot better, but create a little bit more as well. Derrick Jones Jr., not really that guy. Also, Kris Dunn, giving him some more on-ball responsibility because he has shown in Providence and here in the NBA that he can table set. If you want shot creation, yeah, sometimes that can be a little shaky because his jump shot doesn't really, it has people sagging off of him. But table setting, initiating from the top, just moving it around, knowing where it has to go, he can do that. KPJ. He has been better lately. He's averaging 8 points on the season. Well, he is going to have to step it up in terms of his efficiency and continue what he's doing with Norm out. Last game against the Warriors, he shot 33%, but in the 2 games before that, he shot 67 and 50. And then the game before that was the one where he only played 6 minutes and just got a bunch of fouls. But the game before that, 50. Game before that, 56. Game before that, 56. So the last 7 games that he's played more than 6 minutes, he's been shooting very well. So we're going to need that to continue. And I think a lot of that is just the game slowing down for him a bit and him not taking as many tough contested step backs. And I think playing better defense, which he's been doing the last couple of games, that can allow for more transition opportunities, and he's pretty good in transition. As far as James Harden, now, at this point of the season, he's played all 15 games. He's averaging 20 points and 9 assists. I thought before the season he would average, wasn't that my prediction? It was either 20 and 10 or 20 and 9. I think it was 20 and 9. So he's literally averaging what I expected, but he's averaging more rebounds. Although I did think he would be more efficient. He's averaging 8 rebounds a game. So he's averaging damn near a triple-double. 2 steals a game if you round up. 1.6 is the exact number. And then 1 block. The turnovers are down a bit as well. Just 4.4 turnovers a game. And I say just because he was averaging 5+ before. That's still a lot. That's still a lot, absolutely. But it's an upgrade. It's progression from how we started the season. Right now, Trae Young is leading the league in turnovers at 4.8. Cade Cunningham is behind him at 4.6, and then James at 4.4. So had he stayed at that at 5 range, he would have been number 1. So it's good to see that James Harden has brought that down. Then as far as his efficiency, that's been a tricky thing this season. He's only shooting 37% from the field and 31% from 3. But I'll tell you this. In the first 10 games, he was shooting 36% and 30 from 3. And the last 4, he's shooting 41% from the field and 32 from 3. So an upgrade in both, 5% increase in field goal percentage. That mid-range is looking a little better. And the last couple of games, he has looked sprier getting to the basket. And it's funny because they said he was sick in the last game against the Warriors. But James has never been a guy to be a load management guy, which is one thing I've really respected about him throughout his career. He does love to play basketball and get out there. And for me to make comments in the first half, like James looks a little livelier, a little more pep in his step tonight on Monday night, and he was sick, man. And these athletes, you just forget, they're so conditioned. But it's good to see that James Harden, that last game skews it a little bit because he had a really rough shooting game. But I shouldn't say skews it because it's been consistent that he's had rough shooting games throughout the season. But had I done this same kind of stat before that last game, it would have looked better. But it is what it is. Fact of the matter is, James Harden's going to need an uptick in his efficiency. I just think it's hard for him at 35, given how much he has to do on the ball and how much, it's like how much he has to do on the ball because we don't have guys that can dribble. But it's also like James Harden, he's not an off-ball guy. Like he doesn't give you any off-ball utility. The thing is, sometimes he'll shoot the catch and shoot 3, but it's not something he loves doing. So when you have James Harden, it's about having the ball in his hands. It's just maybe he can take breaks off the ball a little bit. We just don't have too much room for that without Kawhi. He's not supposed to be the number 1 option on this team, but we have no choice but for his efficiency to increase, especially if Norm is out. But it's trending in the right direction. Now, coming up, going to be talking about the first 15 games as a whole. We're 8-7. What have been the key takeaways? Going to be talking about that coming up. I got to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. PrizePicks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, PrizePicks keeps your lineup live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. All right. So the Clippers are 8-7 through 15 games. I'd say that's a positive. If you were to ask me before the season, without Kawhi playing 1, are we going to be over 500? I would take that in a heartbeat. And obviously, if you had told me James Harden was shooting that poorly from the field, I wouldn't have never believed you. But Norman Powell's averaging 23 points a game. Kris Dunn's been even better than everyone's expected, shooting 53-39 splits. Jesus, Kris Dunn's shooting 37.5% though from the free throw line. He's shooting worse from the free throw line than 3 in field goals. So we got to get that up. He'll get that up, I can promise you. But how bad of a free throw shooter will Kris Dunn be? That remains to be seen. Amir Coffey, I honestly not too surprised at what he's doing. I think he's a very solid player. Terrence, disappointed as a starter. As a bench player, that's what he's, the way he's played as a bench player is more what I'm used to, what we're used to. And then Zoo is averaging 15 and 12. I said before the season 15 and 11. And I said what? I think I said 16 and 10. Either 15 and 11 or 16 and 10. He's right around that, so I think that's realistic. I think the 17 and 13 is going to be too hard for him to keep up, but it shouldn't, honestly. If Kawhi's out the whole year or like 60 games, obviously that's horrible for our team, but he should average 17 and 13, honestly. But I'm not going to complain about 15 and 12 in great rim protection. He is obviously our team leader in blocks. James Harden is second because a lot of those strips that he does when the guys are going up are blocks, technically over steals. But they've been impressive. That's why we're 8-7. Our defense has been everything for the most part that it's been, it was advertised to be. Considering Kawhi's out, even more so. I said without Kawhi, we can be top 10 in defensive rating. With Kawhi, top 5. And right now, without Kawhi for the first 15 games, we are 6th in defensive rating. So come on. Right now, the numbers are being skewed so much because it's early in the season, so one game can change things drastically. We were literally like 9th before that, like the game before. So 6th in defensive rating, and then in offensive rating, 21st, which is exactly what you would expect without Kawhi, honestly, but the defense being even better. And a lot of that's because Derrick Jones, Kris Dunn have been so good. I think Nico's been a little disappointing. Just hasn't shot the ball well. And at times he's clearly not trying to get hurt. He doesn't get as physical in terms of boxing out anymore, as of now at least. And then doesn't really dive to the basket when he can off the ball. So he plays a fairly safe game. But defensively, he's still a net positive completely. But anyway. What else? Kevin Porter Jr. has been a little disappointing. There's been this constant conversation, though, about about Bones Highland, about Jordan Miller playing instead. Here's the thing. I said let's wait 15 games, and the way KPJ's trended upwards the last couple of games, I wouldn't take him out of the rotation. But again, with Norman Powell out, that opens up a little bit for Jordan Miller. Now, the major thing we should discuss, because it has been 15 games, and that is a checkpoint to some degree, Kawhi. I've tried not to talk about him too much in the season because we've been doing some good things, but they said he's shooting again, and that's not running. That doesn't make me optimistic. He's definitely not going to play the first 20 games. And I know what everyone's saying. As long as we just tread water, stay around 500, between 2 to 3 games around 500, of course, preferably above 500. Without Kawhi, by the time he comes back, we are set. When it comes to making the playoffs or making the play-in, sure. Championship, no way. This is just not a formula to win a championship. But it's not necessarily not a formula to win a couple rounds or a round. The thing is, we just don't know when he's going to come back. And can James Harden play every game? Like, what if Norman Powell's out for like 5 to 10 games? Are we just going to lose every single one besides 1 or 2? Like, we can't survive right now with this being our roster and no Kawhi, in my opinion, long-term to make the play-in. But I don't think Norman Powell's going to be out for too long. I think he'll be fine. Considering that he could still play. I mean, I know it's, there's so much adrenaline and stuff that sometimes you can get through a game. And hamstrings are tricky. But I think he should be okay. It's just a strain, right? It's not a tear. As far as, who was I going to go to? Oh, yeah, we got Mo Bamba back. That's nice. That could be good stuff going forward. Because he's looked pretty good the first 2 games. His length, his size, his finishing. He's had some dunks, some lobs, alley-oops. So he's looked pretty solid. It just looks like he's a little more sure of himself as an NBA player than Kai Jones. But Kai Jones wasn't too bad to me. I thought he was somewhat unfairly treated in terms of minutes that he got. He wasn't too bad. Just looked a little bit confused out there at times defensively, but overall, good energy. I totally forgot where I was going with the Kawhi thing. But yeah, I mean, 15 games in, we're solid. 8 and 7. Oh, I was going to go to the standings. It's just so early to standings watch, so I haven't mentioned anything like that. But as of now, we are in 8th. So you'll take that. If we're 8th seed without Kawhi, that's honestly something that should be an added thing to James Harden's resume, because this would be so impressive to do that. And guys like Jeff Van Gundy, who have really brought in a defensive mindset, a defense-first attitude, and attention to detail. I mean, that you could see it. You can tell. You know what I'm saying, with what he's done to this team. So I love the maniacal nature about defense because I can relate to it a little bit. Obviously, again, I just want to emphasize, never coached college, even high school. High school players in club, but never high school. But I just always think a team should be defense first foundationally, because it just lets you stay in games. And it's being shown this season with how much we're in games. Like my first 6th grade practice on my school team that I coach on Tuesday, I had was like 55 minutes of defense. And then the rest I was just like introducing myself and all that. But like, we set the foundation. So I relate to Jeff Van Gundy massively in that way. Just from emphasis. But here's the thing, though, right? Another thing I've learned from coaching is, like, it doesn't matter what Jeff Van Gundy's saying if you don't have guys that can actually do it. Kris Dunn is a much bigger reason that we're a good defensive team than Jeff Van Gundy. Derrick Jones Jr. is a much bigger reason why we're a good defensive team than Jeff Van Gundy. It's the players that do it. Zubats. If we didn't have a rim protector, where would we be? It's the players. It's always the players first. Always. At my level, at the NBA level. But you definitely need, having good coaches is just like a magnifier, right? It's a magnifier. And having bad coaches can bring you down. But yeah, let's see how we do against the Magic. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, for even more LA Clipper content. I obviously won't be at the game, so you won't get a vlog and you won't get a live because I'm coaching a championship game and I won't feel like going live, win or lose. So you'll get something. You'll get an episode of Locked On Clippers, which you can subscribe to on this channel, YouTube. Hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And of course, you can listen wherever you get your podcasts. And we have a newsletter, lockedondaily.com, to go get it. Please do. It really helps your boy. And yeah, the age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Hold it down for me tonight, Clipper Nation. Head into a dome.